How did Demi Lovato go from the brink of losing everything to drug addiction to transforming not just her own life, but the lives of millions grappling with mental health? Stick around, because the story we're about to unfold is far from ordinary. Demi Lovato, a two-time Grammy nominee, a multi-platinum singer, and a former Disney star. But beyond the accolades and the spotlight lies a complex individual who has wrestled with demons many can't even imagine. Born on August 20th, 1992 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Demi moved to Texas at a young age. It wasn't a life of glamour from the get-go. It was a life that showed early signs of the struggles that were to come. Gifted but vulnerable, Demi's talent shone through even as a child. However, she also faced considerable challenges that would shape her future struggles. Between dealing with bullying at school and coping with a turbulent home life marked by a dysfunctional family and an alcoholic father, Demi found herself yearning for an escape early on. At just 12 or 13 years old, a car accident became the starting point for Demi's dangerous experiment with substances. Prescribed opiates for the pain, Demi was stepping onto a path that many sadly don't return from.
So I started experimenting for the first time when I was 12. 13, I got into a car accident and they prescribed me opiates.
At first, Demi's mom didn't even notice that pills and alcohol were missing from the house. But one day she found out and it hit her like a ton of bricks. Realizing her 13-year-old daughter was messing around with not just booze, but prescription medication too. That was a huge wake-up call, signaling the difficult struggles that lay ahead for both Demi and her family. At 15, Demi didn't just dip their toes into the entertainment industry, she cannonballed right in. Remember Camp Rock? That movie was like a launching pad for Demi. One minute she's a teenager in Texas, and the next, her face is on posters, and her songs are all over the radio. It was like going from 0 to 100, almost overnight. And while that kind of sudden fame might sound like a dream come true, let me tell you, it came with its own set of challenges and pitfalls that were waiting just around the corner. As Demi was navigating the newfound fame, she was also wrestling with inner demons. At just 17 years old, she was introduced to cocaine.
It was only like 2 weeks before I was introduced to heroin and crack cocaine.
For some people, partying at this age means late-night video games or a little too much soda, but for Demi, things got way more intense. She wasn't just experimenting, she was getting caught in the dangerous cycle of addiction. It was like walking on a tightrope with no safety net, all while the world was watching her every move. During this critical period, between her 17th and 18th years, her life was a roller coaster. On the surface, she was collecting awards, going on tours, and meeting fans. But behind closed doors, she was slipping further into her addiction. At public events, she could flash a smile and pose for the cameras, but those close to her could see the strain it was putting on her life. Finally, a few months after her 18th birthday, she realized she couldn't keep going like this. The challenges she was privately wrestling with couldn't stay private any longer. This realization led her to her first stint in rehab. The spotlight was still shining on her, but this time, it was illuminating the steps she was taking to heal. Right after Demi came out of her first rehab stint, she was faced with a complicated landscape. She was still a teenager, yet she had already lived a lifetime of experiences. She was back in the limelight, but this time, the spotlight revealed more than just her talent. It also shed light on the cracks that were forming beneath the surface. Now, we've got to talk about something that we often sweep under the rug: mental health when you're famous. Picture this. Demi's trying to cope with anxiety, depression, and even suicidal thoughts, all while her photos are everywhere. Magazines, billboards, you name it. Every smile for the camera is a performance when inside she's falling apart. And here's where the story takes an intriguing twist. Demi didn't hide her struggles. She wore them on her sleeve. Literally. She poured her personal battles into her music. If you listen to songs like Skyscraper and Warrior, you'll hear her soul crying out. The lyrics, "Go on and try to tear me down, I will be rising from the ground," from Skyscraper, weren't just words, they were her mantra. She made her comeback with albums like Unbroken and Confident, and also became a judge on The X Factor. But just because you're back in the game doesn't mean the challenges have left the building. She had her share of public breakdowns and relapses. I mean, one time she even punched a backup dancer. There were moments when she'd be on top of the world, like being invited to perform the national anthem at the 2015 World Series. But then, the very next year, she would be back in rehab for another round of treatment. The public was left scratching their heads. While all this was going on, she also had to juggle her blossoming acting career. She was in TV shows and movies, even doing voiceover for animated films. But don't get it twisted. These weren't all happy-go-lucky times. Behind the scenes, Demi was fighting against an eating disorder and bipolar disorder, which she was pretty open about. Demi went through some very personal and painful experiences during these years, like having a complicated relationship with her dad, who was also struggling with his own demons.
He was abusive. He was mean, but he wanted to be a good person.
When he passed away in 2013, it hit her hard, especially because they never had the chance to mend fences. By the time 2018 rolled around, Demi was at a breaking point. On a fateful night, Demi Lovato overdosed and faced a dire medical emergency. The situation was so severe that she had to be rushed to the hospital, where her life hung in the balance. Medical professionals swung into immediate action, administering life-saving treatments to counteract the substances she had ingested. The overdose served as an urgent wake-up call for Demi, signaling that profound changes were needed in her life. During this challenging period, Demi also endured a deeply traumatic experience that shook her to the core. She faced a sexual assault, an ordeal that led her to grapple with issues of consent and personal boundaries.
But when I was a teenager, I lost my virginity in a rape.
This wasn't just a physical violation, it was an emotional upheaval that added another layer of complexity to her already tumultuous life. She started questioning her understanding of what was and wasn't acceptable behavior between people, and this experience weighed heavily on her emotional well-being. But here's where Demi shows how strong she is. After going through all that, she didn't just give up or run away. Nope. She actually went back to some of the people who were bad news for her, including a drug dealer, but instead of letting that be another sad chapter in her story, it was kind of like a wake-up call for her. So what did she do? She decided to tackle her problems head-on. She joined this really intense program for a week where she dug deep to understand why she was struggling so much. It's like going on a soul-searching mission, but with professional help. And she didn't stop there. In 2021, Demi made a documentary on YouTube. She didn't hold back. She was all like, if I'm gonna get better, I've gotta work at it every day. That's commitment, folks. And it's a big reason why she's turning her life around. And for her, one of those battles is with eating disorders.
Struggled really hard with an eating disorder, yes, and that was my primary problem.
She knows it's a touchy topic, but she still posts about it on Instagram to help others feel better about themselves. She's even teamed up with this group called NIDA to help others going through the same struggle. Not just that, Demi has been super loud about mental health too. It's like she's standing on a stage with a megaphone, letting everyone know it's okay to talk about how you're feeling. And you know what? People are listening. Not just her fans, but all kinds of people who realize they're not alone. So, fast forward to June 2022. Demi shows up on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. And whoa, something's different. It's like we're meeting a brand new Demi. She talks about her new album, and it's not like her old music. It's not about partying or anything like that. It's real. It's about life and healing. It's like she took all the tough stuff she went through and turned it into something beautiful. So as we look at where Demi's at now, it's like seeing the ultimate comeback story. She's going from interviews to social media to everywhere, spreading this super important message about mental health. It's not just her. Her message is helping so many other people face their own problems. And there you have it. The full circle story of Demi Lovato's incredible journey. Now quickly, if you want to see more inspiring stories like her, then smash the like button and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one.